Alright, welcome to the Safety Net Group A. I know that it might be Group A, Group 1, however you might want to look at it, but it's the third group we've played out for this tournament. We've got one more group tomorrow morning of the European set, then of course on Saturday we have the round of 8 and onwards, so we're already surprisingly close to the end of the tournament. I'm Rifkin, casting with Zombie Grub, and spawning here in the bottom left corner of Overgrowth. It's going to be the green Protoss player, State.
Never right as the red Zerg, its flip side's JonSnow.
So an interesting question was brought up to me before we got into this group, and someone basically, I don't know if they're looking for trouble or had a legit question, but, you know, State lives in Korea. Why are we letting State play for North America? And I think this is definitely something I considered when we saw him sign up for not this tournament, but the last tournament. And while it would be easy to just throw him to the Wolves and say, no, State's got to qualify through Korea, he's SOL, the thing is, as long as he's willing to play on the North American server, I don't mind so much. If this is a situation where he's saying, oh, my latency's bad, I want to play in Korea, that's where we tell him, you're SOL, buddy. You chose to live in Korea, you chose to play in the North American qualifiers, deal with it. But because State's been part of North America for so long, and only just recently, maybe not recently, but still is fresh to Korea to an extent as far as his career goes, I don't mind letting him play in the North American section of our tournaments.
This might not help, might make it worse. Would we let Palt and Violet sign up for ANA?
They could if they wanted to, yeah, but they both made it into WCS.
I
So
feel like that's fair.
for this particular one, I'd say no, because they made it to WCS.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I think that's fair because it's like basically like WCS rules, right? Like region locked, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's never going to be a perfect region lock. You're always somebody's gonna get snubbed, or somebody's gonna be advantaged through it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know we usually start off the day with how are you, so what's up with you?
Not much. We did some Here's the Storm with Temple last night for those that didn't see it. Sorry, with Quaim, as I learned his name's pronounced. Yeah. It was pretty fun times, but yeah, so pretty much just did that, woke up, went back to sleep, woke up again, and then hopped on to do this.
Yeah, that's basically what I did, right? But like, I bring it up because the last 10 minutes has just been terrible. Like, you were like, call me, and I'm like, sure! And then like, everything happened at once. I'm surprised I made it here on time.
What happened?
Like the cat threw up, and then I like before that the water, I'd like change his water, and the water like spilled because the cord like tangled on my chair. And the cat threw up, and then I had to clean that up. Then you're like, or you can call now or whatever. And I'm like, no wait, oh shit. But everything turned out fine. It's good. And then I couldn't find my sock, so I'm wearing one sock. But not on purpose this time.
I was gonna say, isn't that your perfect temperature one sock?
No, it's not on purpose. I'm a little cold right now.
I have definitely had those mornings. You wake up late, you're like, I gotta get the stream on, I gotta hop in the shower, I gotta feed the animals, so I feel you. But we both made it here, and that's, I guess, what matters. We did have a pretty slow opener from both sides of this. I was kind of curious whether State was gonna dump some Chronos into this warp tech or not, but whether it's 1 base, 2 base with Nexuses, with gateways, 4 gateways can still be really powerful.
Yeah, of course. Do like that. I think at this point, I feel like there are more gateway expanders than there are Forge Fast expanders. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
It's kind of funny though. That's the way things change from the ends of Wings of Liberty to now the ends of Heart of the Swarm, right?
Yeah, definitely. But as such, that does mean that a lot more Zergs are being a lot more brave about getting that 3 hatch before a pool. Because you can get away with it. The only thing that they have in their arsenal is that 4 gate that we did see oh my god, what's his name? Lobo execute flawlessly, like exactly what I try and I bring up every single time, but no one really does it. And he finally did it as what seemed to be a reaction to the 3 hatch for a pool.
See, I kind of, even though it failed pretty miserably for the European group, we saw Jonah sadly try it a couple times and it failed. I really like the idea though of doing things like hatchery blocks, because Protoss players are playing greedier, either Nexus first or Gateway expands, and not really put in that cannon pressure. I think there are some Protoss you play against, Stardust or MC comes to mind, where like you never would try that because, well, there's going to be cannons somewhere, right? But for the most part, I'm surprised we don't see more trying to pull that off.
Yeah. Well, still setting up this game, we do have a Twilight Council in a robo. I mean, like they're just like before the 3rd base, which is why I was like, I made a note of it. It did look like an expansion build with that forge down and the gas is taken, but it also looks like he's going to go ahead and attack. Yeah, I mean, he's placing his pylon down. I mean, Blink won't be done if he is planning an attack. Seems like a like a 3-gate. Oh, well, okay, it's Dark Shrine expand. There you go. That makes sense.
Okay, so a bit of Coolio harass. We do have a layer on the way for JonSnow, so I'm not too worried about him getting absolutely wrecked by this, but as always, there's that situation where they do hit at that right time. You're looking on the other side of the map, you get your roaches just spawning, but no overseers. It could kill some drones, but I gotta be honest, we've seen JonSnow enough over the last year and a half of StarCraft 2. I don't think he's the kind of guy who loses to something like this in any situation.
Of course, you know, Dark Shrine has kind of... It's not like the most common. Like, I really expected him to expand because Overgrowth just, like, it's one of the older maps, so everyone knows it, so everyone feels safe enough to get a third base on this freaking map, right? And instead to go for the Dark Shrine, I think that is a little surprising, just as, like, you know, how many games he's played. I still imagine it's kind of a, like, the lower used build, but what's interesting, or more interesting, is the follow-up. Like, in a charge and Immortal, still no third. Like, JonSnow's there and he realizes it, and he's probably kind of like, what's going on? Like, what didn't I scout in that main? And it's the only 4 Zealots, and those roaches popped out in the perfect timing, by the way. He's got to start thinking, like, what's going on? What am I not seeing here?
Yeah, I mean the attack out of state there was not that dedicated, but it was interesting to see. Will he see the shimmer though? He's got to have an idea this is coming. The ground is all blurred up, and we don't quite have an overseer. Starts up immediately at the natural.
He's going into an Immortal Archon all-in after this. I just feel like that's dirty.
That's kind of
2 words.
It's kind of like a blitz move, though. I mean, you are putting a lot of your eggs in this basket. This doesn't have an easy transition out of it. But to start, he gets the third base. So, I mean, this is a great start for State.
Yeah. Too bad about all those overseers that are made. Seems a little like an overreaction right now. 3 overseers. But, yeah, really great. I think that's exactly what he wanted to do with the 3 DTs. And we actually have a Immortal Pressure before this Immortal attack.
Yeah, the drops in the main could be cool. We might also see him go near the ramp with this and warp in some sentries, as has been done in the past. Force field off that ramp forever. Just use your Immortals to wreck the base. Hydralisks are on the way though, so the tools necessary to fight off any form of an Immortal attack are going to be available for JonSnow, but again, losing this base to start so easily too just really offsets his income right now. So more so than the minerals, the gas, even just having in that 5th geyser not currently active is really going to eat into how many Hydralisks he can make. State a little supply block too, by the way. This could be a problem. I mean, you can get a lot done with a little amount of units with Protoss, but I mean, if it's going to be 84 supply versus 150, 160, it's going to be a pretty bad time.
You know, with the way that he was hiding those Immortals, I really thought he was going to go for an all-in, but just using them for this pressure, well, it's not going to work out.
Oh, gotta be careful of the Hydras.
Everything State is doing is surprising to me. Like, it's very out of the ordinary for the regular PvZs, but it just doesn't seem to be facing JonSnow at all. Okay, like DTs, yeah, they got the third base, but he's recovering nicely, and then these Immortal drops, most unexpected, and he's still perfectly fine.
I feel like it's one of those instances where you got someone who's really trying to go super crazy on you, and the perfect counter is just to play standard, just to keep a calm head.
Yeah.
And I mean, because JonSnow's not really doing anything too special. You're right, like he is just not being phased by this. Roaches, Hydras, Lings coming across the map. Now there's a big attack at his doorstep. The Immortals are out of position for this. Lings are going to catch him. But even with the Force Fields going down, they've lost their shields. In fact, one of the Immortals is going to die to the Zergling straight up. Second one to the Roaches. An Archon being made, and that Mothership Core barely comes back alive for 1 Photon Overcharge, but this army from State is meager at best. 31 army value versus 96. Level 2 weapon upgrades are cool and all, but Contamination on the Gateways take away what little production State already has. Blink not available for this attack, and JonSnow, well, he's won the fight.
Yeah. That's for sure. I mean, it kind of feels like he's won the game, right? He's gonna go to the 3rd. That's a kind of a free kill. The Mothership did die, so no more cannons.
Oh, the cannons aren't even in range. Oh dear.
I've never seen cannons go down like this.
I guess
Not
the kind of
since like the first days over. Yeah, but not the most commonplace. A lot of things aren't common, I guess, anymore as to what State is doing, and it might make him look kind of. Let's be honest, like, it looks like JonSnow is just like the supreme player right now, like superior player. But honestly, like, imagine if State, you know, did surprise JonSnow. This would be like a dirty Protoss move, and he would win, and we'd be like, you know, cry Protoss Imba.
Yeah, like the Immortals in the main, had those not been intercepted immediately, had the DTs not been dealt with so quickly. Like, these are all things that would probably not have killed JonSnow, but kept his army at home. Yeah, the GTs are going to clean up a big chunk of the Hydra list here, but at this point, that third base was so important to save somebody who's already so low on supply going into this.
Oh.
I guess the upside is he didn't lose that many probes, but that also means he didn't have that many in the first place.
Yeah, the Warp Prism tried to go back into the main, and there are Hydras waiting.
Oh, dear.
No big deal. No big deal. So JonSnow does not have a kill move there. Does have a little bit more of a bank. He's going up to that hive. Looks like he's gonna go for maybe the gold. He sticks on the rocks to back up this next attack with the Vipers. And surprisingly, the Vipers won't be as useful as they are versus someone who has like 4 Colossus, right? But blinding clouds in key areas. There is 1 Colossus that probably won't be that helpful.
There is no extended thermal lance on it, so yeah, it hasn't even begun researching.
Nice. Always a pleasant place to be for us.
Okay, so reassess the situation here for State. I kind of feel like if he had either dedicated to the DTs or the Immortal drops, one or the other, he would have had enough gas / money / attention span to put on a transition out of that. But because he didn't, because that was the focus of like these 2-pronged attacks that got nothing done, that's why we find him left with almost nothing behind this. There's a couple of upgrades that's cool, but there's no real tech behind this. If I guess Zealot Charge could be kind of cool, but let's be honest, the Roaches and the Hydras are so numerous, those units are going to get melted away.
I mean, when you think about the army that he could have had, right? Like, bulking up that Immortal count might seem a little odd because it does seem to be all about the Blink Stalkers and then eventually up to Colossus. We've seen Blink Stalker Immortal just wreck any army composition. I mean, yesterday we saw it actually beat back a Roach Hydra Viper composition with seemingly no problem, right? So it would have been good, but he went for charge first of all. He had those DTs, like you said, and the blink did seem a little late, and the reduction wasn't there, and that Mothership Core needed that because she's been...
A naughty girl.
I
don't know. There's a lot of things you can misclick, because like maybe you're picking on the rocks or something, but I don't know what that was about. That was, okay. Well, still dancing with the Stalkers, looking to see what's coming. Blinks back to make sure he takes no damage, but we do see JonSnow, while he is maxed out, he's accruing a bank. He's getting a transition out of this ready. If he kills enough of the Stalkers in this attack, boom, Mutalisk remax. Good luck, have fun. If the Colossus numbers are too hard, he can sack some of the Roaches, get Corruptors out. I mean, this is his game to lose at this point. He's given State a lot of time to recover, which is not a good thing, because State now has a lot of Archons. He's got a lot of Sentries, but it's JonSnow who's going to be able to take a second fight, not the other way around.
I guess that was a nice blink forward. If he gets... Yeah, he saved both of his Colossus without High Templars. Then he damaged one of his Colossus to near death, again with A moving.
Oh my god, State, please, watch where you click.
Could you stop just A moving?
I mean, I get that it's early in Korea right now, but oh my goodness.
It's like you stop A moving as Protoss, but still like he held the Colossus down to take that damage, but that was an impressive hold. He gives away Blink Stalkers, which is usually a bulk of your army, but in this case not so much. So I don't know if he's really all that upset about that. And he survived the Viper attack. I mean, I was impressed by that. Like, JonSnow's still in the lead because of this bank that he has and the commanding position in the game as a whole, but that was impressive.
Well, the 4th base is taken in. I thought it was going to be Mutalisk, because he's taking it one step further. Gonna go towards Broodlords. I don't think this was a bad choice. He has killed most of the Stalkers, and he's identified that it's such a Zealot, Immortal, Colossus-based army. Basically, things that don't shoot up.
Yeah. And there's no way, especially after confirming the death on that 4th, that he's gonna go up to Tempest soon. I mean, he didn't even have High Templars.
There's a chance. The army that State has is actually strong enough to base race something like an Immortal, or sorry, not Immortals, the Broodlord army. They're slow, they're cumbersome, they're not really fast to respond. Maybe there's a situation where State's gearing up for an attack, say over here, and the Fog of War and JonSnow moves towards the natural. If that's the case, maybe he goes through and blitzes the base down, but, I mean, taking that army head-on directly is going to be very difficult.
Yeah. And that is what he's missing, not only being able to blink underneath the Broodlords with Blink, but being able to just maneuver around the Broodlords, which is the optimal option if you don't have Tempest, that is. So I don't think State's gotten a vision of this. Not even on the Spire. Nothing on the Hive at all. Of course, State has been a little, preoccupied, so I guess the scouting hasn't been top-notch, through St. Phoenixes and whatnot.
Yeah, playing blind like this has got to be so scary. You got this army that might not be optimal. Your upgrades aren't where they need to be. He did finally get extended thermal range, which is good, but again, here comes the Broodlords, and what's he gonna do? If he blinks under this, he'll probably pick off about 4 or 5 of them, but there's the Blinding Clouds to cover, actually, so the Stalkers can't even focus them down. The Roaches and the Hydras are doing a good job of guarding against this. All he has to do is kill the Stalkers. If he kills the Stalkers, he will kill the rest of the army, but looks like State may have broken through.
Yeah, I don't really like how JonSnow took that fight. We've been seeing Broodlords as an endgame composition recently, right? Like Destiny showed us a lot, but then we saw other Zergs do it. So I think States actually might have the power.
John, he's got no larva. He's got 2,000 minerals in the bank, and he's got no larva.
Yeah, no gas. I mean, like you're gonna be max on Lings, and all the Colossus are still alive.
We may have just seen the greatest throw of all time. Yeah. Wow. What? GG. I'm not even. Ah!
Not even mad, man. Oh, I like Broodlords, you know, how Terran